Hi folks, today we're going to be looking at creating a simple car chassis with a motor and a couple of connectors. So I'm going to start off by building the chassis from a simple cube. I'm going to increase its subdivisions. We're going to keep this really simple and really fast. We should be over in about 5 minutes. So simple cube, we're going to make it editable. And then I'm going to do some simple extrusions to recreate the shape of a pretty standard car chassis. So here's our cube. We've got some selections here. I'm going to come down to the extrude, which is under create. So I'm going to drag that off here so I can see what we're looking for. There's extrude. I'm going to do a couple of stages. So extrude it out and then extrude it out again. And then I'm going to create some new selections at the end here, so we've got an area for where the wheels can be attached to on our very simple car chassis. Obviously yours are going to be more extravagant than this, but these are the building blocks. I'm going to keep it nice and simple, so that should do. Probably a good idea to name these things, so I'm going to just name this chassis. Right, now we've got a chassis in place. We need just a couple of wheels. We're going to do front and back. We're going to keep this pretty simple. It's going to be almost like a Flintstones vehicle. Obviously your cars might have more wheels than this. So we're going to have a front wheel. We're going to place that at 200. Actually no, that's going to be the rear, isn't it? Yeah, so let's make that the rear wheel. And I'm going to duplicate that. Call that front wheel. And I'm going to change the coordinates for that, so that's at the front there. Right, I don't need to make these objects editable, it should be able to pick it up as it is. So now we need some tags applied to this. We're going to go to the simulation or rigid body tag. We need one for the front and one for the back. So I'm just going to drag that with Option and Command down, and it creates a duplicate copy. And in the collision setting, it's a good idea to go from the automatic to the moving mesh. It's just good practice. It changes the way objects interact with each other, dynamic objects, especially if you've got something with a hole in, like a torus or something like that. Let's create a floor object. We're going to just do a very simple floor for the moment. I'll change it in a bit, but for the moment we're just going to set up yet another dynamic tag on the floor. Right, so everything's in place now. We need attached the cylinders to the chassis. So I'm going to use this connector object here. We're going to need one for the front, one for the back. So I'm going to name them so it's clear as to where they're going. I'm just going to move them down in the pecking order here so you can see where they are. I haven't dragged them as child or anything like that. And I'm now going to change the coordinates for... sorry, I'm going to... yeah, it would be a good idea just to change the coordinates here. Exactly 200, and there's probably the same with the other one as well. So connector, the front 200. Oh, fat fingers. There we go. Right, so now we've got connectors in the right place. We're going to attach them. So if I drag the cylinder into here and then the chassis into object B field, and the same again with the other connector, so cylinder rear and then also the chassis into there. There we go, so we've now got the connection set up. Now if we play it, nothing's going to happen. Have a guess why, folks? Because we haven't told the chassis to be a dynamic object yet. The wheels are dynamic object, the floor's dynamic object, but the chassis is a nothing object. It's not going to have any influence. So simulation tag, a rigid body attached to the chassis, and there you go. Rolls to the floor, doesn't move much. It's got a little bit of momentum there. You can see it's working, but it's not quite moving. So we need a motor attaching. So in object A of the motor, we just need dragging in the front cylinder. So front wheel drive car. There we go. So if you apply some sort of material so we can actually see the wheels rotating around. I'm just picking any random wheels. How's that? Proper Flintstone material, that is. And there we are. We have motion. We have liftoff, folks. Right, so instead of running along just an ordinary floor, let's chuck on an interesting landscape. One of the default landscapes that we've got in Cinema 4D. So I'll drag that down so it's in a similar sort of place, and yeah, that looks good. I'm just going to drag the tag over from the existing floor to the new landscape. And there we have it. So hopefully, play it now, we should see, oh, it's just got no friction. So we need to change the friction settings on both the front wheels and also the landscape as well. So I'm going to move the landscape a little bit, so that we're going to make this little vehicle sort of try and get up the side of this mountain in true Land Rover style. And we need to adjust the motor settings, so I'm going to change the motor settings. Alright, and we also need to change the friction settings on the wheels. There's a bit of slippage going on, so under the collision setting there's a bounce, and we need to remove that because the wheels aren't bouncing in this, they're made of stone, and the bounce there and the friction on that one as well. So both cylinders have now got a little bit of friction, and also the same again on the landscape as well. Let's whack the friction up on that and remove any sort of bounce. We can do a bouncing wheel in another tutorial another time. I'll show you how to inflate tyres. Okay, so it's not quite making it. I'm going to move the landscape, give this thing a helping hand here. Yeah, that's better now. Let's change the view. There we go. So 90 frames is probably not enough to really get a grip of what's going on. So let's change this to a few more 100 frames. Let's bang in a bigger number here. That's the sort of thing, right? Okay, there we go. That's pretty much it, really. So that gives you the building blocks of how to create a motor and using the connector objects as well. Good luck.